Hey everyone, I'm the Golf Battle Guru. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to dominate Lava Land with all of the best shortcuts on every single hole, including 6 hole-in-ones and nothing worse than a 3. We're going to do it with this Power 4 Firebird club, so let's get rolling. This first hole is all about timing, but it is actually pretty easy and will give you a really nice advantage over most players that are going to get a 3 on this hole. If you're in the back row, it's going to be a max yellow. If you're in the front row, it's going to be just below that. You want to wait for the stone to get right about where it is now, and when you release, it should bounce off both and drop right in. On this hole, you're going to use double topspin and max power and aim right as the wall starts to get taller. If you bounce it off that stone that passes early on, it should drop in for a 1. On this hole, I'm going to give you my general recommendation and then a speed run option for you. So first, we're going to max it, and we're going to aim just where we can clear that little lip to hit it off that large stone as it passes, and it'll drop in for the ace. If we need to go a little faster, we can actually do the same exact thing, but on that small stone that passes immediately, and drop it in that way. I'm going to give you 2 options on this one as well. First, I'll start with the one that I see a lot of other people do. From the front position, I think it's more consistent with Power 5 because I have not had consistency with it on Power 4. But you max power, wait for that stone closest to you to pass, and then if you get it right, it'll bounce in. And then this is the route I would recommend if you're in the back position or you just want to play it safer. You're going to do a single top spin, max orange, and aim right for the corner of that little block. And it should kick off and drop in. This is another one with different routes depending on your starting position. If you're not in the back, you can get a hole-in-one on this hole with single topspin max power and wait for that one stone closest to the hole to pass. Once it disappears for about 2 seconds, let it go, it'll bounce off, and you'll drop it in for an ace. If you're in a back position, the ace isn't going to be possible, so what you're going to do is a hard yellow to clear the gap, and you want to get about 4 blocks from the end of this next platform. At that 4th block, that's max green. So hit a max green, and it'll drop in for a 2. So this is the hardest and most unlikely of the aces, so I do not recommend this unless you're really in a dire situation where you're down by 2 or 3 strokes and really need a miracle. But what you're going to do on this one is max power, just a slight tilt to the left, and you're going to wait for this exact spike. And as soon as you can see the knob on those blocks, let it go and hope you get lucky. This one's very straightforward. The first shot, you're just going to max it right off of the large stone that comes down pretty early on. And if you hit it right, that's going to drop you on this platform. And then you're just going to do a soft orange. So not quite a minimum orange, but a little bit more. Aim right at it, and that should be plenty. This one depends on starting position as well. So if you're in either of these spots where you're opposite that little gap, you're just going to max it right off of the curve, and it should slip right through for a 2. If you're anywhere else, you're going to do double topspin and hit it almost to the same spot, and it should jump and clear the gap for a 2 or a 3. Timing is key on this hole. You're just going to do a soft mid-orange right off that block right at the beginning, and that should set you up for an easy 2. Now, I do think a 1 is possible here. I tried messing around with it, but I couldn't quite get it to fall. But this is as close as I got with single top spin, almost a max orange. You can get pretty close. This is a whole lot of people struggle with, but it should be a pretty consistent 2 for you once you get the hang of it. First, you're going to do about a middle orange right around the curve, and that'll land you in this kind of fairway area here. And then just a single topspin minimum yellow. You wait for that one rock, and the topspin will carry it in for a 2. Similar to the last hole, this should be a pretty consistent 2, but does require a bit of precision. First, you're going to start with a minimum orange, just enough to clear that little gap there. And then from here, it's about a middle yellow. And you just line it up, and if you get the right distance, it should go right in. On this one, you're going to start with a max green, just off of that big stone there to clear the gap. And then from here, a single top spin, max power, should be able to get it in there. For this hole, you're going to do double top spin, max power, and you're going to aim right where the wall gets short enough, or you can bounce over it like this. And then from there, it's just an easy tap in too. For this hole, I'm going to start by showing you a lucky 2 that I got just for fun, but then I'm going to show you the route I actually recommend after this. So you can see here I was lucky enough to land on this little edge. I used my right side spin to clear that stone and roll it in for a lucky 2. The route I actually recommend is this. First, you're going to start with just a minimum yellow to get past this curve. Then about a medium yellow to bounce off this rock but clear all the ash area. And then it's just a straight in max green for an easy 3. This hole's pretty straightforward, but also pretty inconsistent. First, you're just going to max it and try to hit it into the fairway area down here. Then you're going to max it again right at the hole and just hope that it stays in. On this hole, you're going to start with a single top spin, max power shot to clear that second platform there. And then from here, you're going to aim a little bit to the right and curve to the left and do just below a max yellow to get it to the hole for a 2. So this is a fun one. It's a little risky, but not too bad. You're going to start off with either a max yellow or a minimum orange, depending what starting position you're in. And then from here, it's usually going to be a max orange right at the hole, just waiting for that platform to drop back down and hope that it kind of stays in there. So this is one of the more boring holes, and there's a little bit of glitch risk on the second shot, but you're going to start off with a minimum orange, and that clears that gap and gets you in a good position for a bank shot here, where you max it off that board, and that drops you right down to the hole for an easy shot. So the first shot on this hole is often pretty inconsistent, but what you're going to try to do is max it and aim as close to that right side as you possibly can. Now we'll give you an angle from here to then max it over the gap, and then you have a pretty straight in 3. So your route on this one and your chances at a 3 depend on your starting position. If you're in a right starting position like this one, you can hit kind of a middle to hard yellow to get over that gap, and that'll give you an angle to get into that kind of little box you see down there with a max yellow. And then if you're lucky enough to have it sit here, it's just going to be about a middle yellow to clear that gap and bounce in for a 3. If you're in the worst starting positions closer to the wall, you're just going to do basically a minimum yellow, a little bit more to clear that gap. And then it's, again, a soft yellow to go past that corner but not off the cliff. And then you can do a max right through that little gap you can see between the curves. Then it's an easy tap in for a 4. So in this hole, you're going to see some inconsistency in the second shot. So I'm going to show you both angles and ways to get that done. But first, you're just going to max it off the bottom of that triangle. Then double top spin, max power. If it clears the curve, from here it's super easy. It's just going to be a soft yellow straight in for a 3. So same approach on this one. You're going to hit it max power off that corner wedge. And then you're going to double top spin, max power here. Now in this case, I didn't get a straight in angle, so I'm going to have to bank it. You're going to do about a middle yellow and just bank it in to complete the 3. For the shootout, you're just going to use a very soft yellow right off that large stone, right at the hole. It's pretty consistent. You'll get it right there. On this one, you're going to wait for the large stone to come. and you're going to aim a soft to middle yellow banked off the wall, and it should roll right up close. So this is the hardest and most inconsistent shootout hole, but what I've had the most success with is double top spin so it doesn't end up shooting over the top, into a hard orange off the right side of that large stone you can see drop in there, and that should get you pretty close. If you found this video to be helpful, please consider liking and subscribing so you can see more content just like this. Thanks for watching.